Today is a festival day, a blessed day, as we sing in our Easter procession, hallowed forever, the day wherein Christ arose, breaking the kingdom of death. And this church, this feat of architecture, is perfectly suited for festival, for Christmas Eves and Easter days with seating for 1,000 and unobstructed views of the altar from every pew in the house. So no matter the April showers outside our doors, in here is the fullness of spring. Cherry blossoms, lilies, grape hyacinth, trumpets and bells and timpani, God's altar and God's people dressed to the nines. With so much going on, sound and fragrance, color and light, it can be easy to forget that Easter begins in the dark. There's a famous quote from Christian writer Barbara Johnson that says, "We are Easter people living in a Good Friday world." It's a favorite of Episcopal preachers on festival days, for as much as we long to proclaim unapologetically the joy of Easter, we cannot ignore the fact that it is getting harder for people to believe in the resurrection. No wonder. When evidence of Good Friday is everywhere we look, from the morning's front page to our doom scrolling at night. So let's begin by acknowledging that the golden radiance of Christian hope and new life is incubated in the dark. Easter has this in common with our other central story, which we tell at our other big festival, Christmas Eve. Like the very first Easter, the very first Christmas begins in the dark. Both incarnation and resurrection start in the bleak uncertainty and shadow of a silent night. Both tell of an encounter between a young woman named Mary and an angel of the Lord. These two Marys are then swept up as leading ladies in God's wild and incomprehensible mystery play and sent out to bear the good news of the Word made flesh into the world. Mary, the mother of Jesus, bears that word in her body. Mary Magdalene bears that word on her lips. As breathless from running, she preaches the first sermon in Christian history, telling the disciples, "I have seen the Lord." These miracles happen without press conferences or parades or powerful men. Just a flicker of promise, a flutter of hope. The 20th century Swiss theologian Karl Barth once said, "What brings someone to worship on Easter Sunday or any day is a single unspoken question. Is it true? Is it true, this talk of a loving and good God?" wrote Barth. What the people want to find out and thoroughly understand is it true? Well, Karl Barth, not anymore. We live in a post-truth Good Friday world. The million-dollar question for us right now is not, is it true, but does it matter? Mary Magdalene's racing mind cannot conceive of what her encounter with the risen Jesus in a garden outside an empty tomb will mean for a world suspended in the amber of Good Friday. All she knows is the electrifying jolt of hope when Jesus calls her name. It is for us to wonder, does that matter now? And even more terrifying and thrilling, What if it does? Easter people owe something more to a Good Friday world than platitudes and fairy tales and weak assurances that all will be well in the sweet by and by. We owe this world hope. We owe it truth. And we owe it beauty. This February, I was invited to visit Park Avenue Synagogue, our neighbor down the street, to offer a message at a Shabbat service. I shared with them an experience I had last summer while visiting Berlin in preparation for a youth pilgrimage. And our team of leaders chose Berlin, in part because of the political divides in our own country, and because many kids today don't learn about the Holocaust in school, at least not the way I did. And they often don't have a familial connection to World War II or even the Cold War through parents or grandparents. The modern city of Berlin is not conventionally lovely like Paris. However, its awkward architectural mashup of East and West, medieval and modern, offers a kind of stark, honest beauty, a witness to horror and humility, and ultimately hope in humanity's resilience and resistance to the darkest angels of our nature. I visited a church that was bombed and badly damaged in an air raid in 1943. The Kaiser Wilhelm Memorial Church, left in partial ruins, was never rebuilt. Instead, in the 1960s, a new church was erected right beside the old. It was in front of this double church on the evening of December 19th, 2016, that a terrorist driving a stolen truck slammed into a crowd of people at an outdoor holiday market. 12 people from 6 different countries were killed and over 70 injured. 1 year later, a memorial was dedicated on the site. The design included a 54-foot-long crack in the stone that began in the center of the public square and extended all the way up the 6 steps to the church. And the split was filled with a bronze alloy. The last few feet were sealed on the first anniversary of the attack, and family members of the victims poured a symbolic measure of molten gold into the bronze. The design was inspired by the Japanese art of ceramic repair called kintsugi, from the Edo period, the longest age of peace in Japanese history. Fractures in valuable pottery are respectfully and beautifully repaired with precious metals to show that healing is possible as long as we don't ignore or forget the scars and splinters, but instead face them and remember. So this bronze and gold-filled rupture in the middle of the city cuts across the flow of traffic. It's designed to be noticed, traversed, touched. In fact, the more often the metal is touched, the more it shines. Our church is bold to say that we Easter people are designed to shine, to burnish the seams holding our Good Friday world together in all its violence, imperfection, and belovedness, with hope, with truth, with beauty. This is what we owe and offer our Good Friday world. So let's return to that post-truth, post-Christian question of the hour. Does it matter? If all we have to offer are words telling the story of a risen Christ, then the church is bound to fall short. But if we deliver actual experience of hope, truth, and beauty, not just on festival days, but all year long, then, yes, it matters. Maybe more urgently now that these three virtues seem to be in such short supply. Our children need to know that hope is not the same thing as wishful thinking, that truth can't be calculated with algorithms and data sequencing, that in a world obsessed with influencers hawking fickle commercial glamour, it is beauty that feeds our souls. In other words, the miracle of Easter we celebrate today goes beyond the church's claim that Christ is risen. The miracle of Easter is that we continue to ask that hopeful question: what if it really matters? That this light of the world is still breaking through to people whose eyes have grown used to the dark, breaking the kingdom of death, birthing our universe anew. Easter begins in the dark, as the wood of a living tree becomes a cross to bear a dying God, and is even now being transformed by hope and truth and beauty in the promise that no darkness is absolute, no winter so long, no sin beyond redemption, no death so deadly as to thwart God's plan to bring from it new life, to burnish us in our brokenness and make us shine.